Welcome back to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. I'm Steve Wiltfong, and you're here to see one of the most coveted defensive line prospects in the country, Camden, South Carolina High's top 247 defensive lineman Xzavier McLeod announced his college decision. Let's bring in Xzavier right now, who's on the football field at Camden High. Xzavier, how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm good.
Yeah, man. I talked to Coach Hendricks a little bit ago, and it seemed like just yesterday for him that he was pulling you out of the parking lot and telling you you're not a basketball player, you're a football player. Did you envision this when Coach Hendricks approached you and pulled you onto the gridiron?
Not really. I didn't really think I was gonna play football until until this all started happening.
Well, talk about your development as a player and what this recruiting process has been like for you.
So the recruiting process it's been long. I'm just finally glad to get it over with. That's really all. Yeah, that's really it. That's all I can say.
Well, you narrowed it down to four great schools: South Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida. How'd you get it down to these programs right here?
Oh, it's just each school got their own unique thing about them. Like Georgia, it's Georgia first of all. It's a great school. You can't go wrong with it. They produce D line talent. In Michigan, Coach Elson, he's a great D line coach. We've been talking ever since probably since last year, and I feel like we had a great connection since then. South Carolina, obviously, they're the home school. You can never go wrong with South Carolina. I think Coach Beamer is building something big over there. And Florida, I don't have a hat on the table, but Coach Spence, he's a great D line coach and somebody I definitely pay for.
Well, Xzavier, 4 years ago, you thought you were a basketball player. Now you're a blue chip recruit. The floor is yours to tell everybody where you'll be playing your college football.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah. First off, I want to start off by thanking God for everything that He had blessed me with and put me on earth to do. I'm truly thankful. Second, I would thank my parents for all the countless times they helped me and gave me advice to better mature and help me later on in life. Last but not least, I want to thank my coaches for always being there to save, help, or get me out of trouble when I needed it. And thank you for trying to prepare me for the next level and for giving me so much good advice that I will use as I go. I'm very thankful. I also want to thank my true supporters and the people who always had my back and helped me from day one to make this happen. And thank you to everyone who came to watch where I will take my next big step in life. With that being said, I'm proud to say I'll be committing to university, South Carolina. What's up?
Congratulations, Xzavier. South Carolina moves from number 19 to number 17 in the 24/7 Sports Composite team recruiting rankings with your pledge. What made South Carolina right for you?
Oh well, it's just the way we vibe together. Coach Lindsey, Coach Beamer. I thought since day one, since they offered me, I thought it was a great program. I think Coach Beamer's building something very big over South Carolina. And I feel like I can be a part of that program. I think we can actually do something in South Carolina.
When did you settle on the Gamecocks? When did you know you'd be staying in state and playing for the SEC program?
It was really just based off all the other recruits they've been gaining. Some recruits like Marquis Anderson and Montague Reigns. I feel like those guys stayed in state, big talent, blue chip players just like me. And I feel like when we stay in the state, I feel like we can build a program together.
How close was this down the stretch? I know that Georgia and South Carolina were really duking it out at the end.
Uh, yeah, it was very close. Hard saying no to Georgia once again. Georgia's a great school. So it's hard. It came down to the needle. It was close to Georgia. But you know.
What makes Coach Beamer special in your opinion? Why does he have South Carolina on the trajectory you believe in?
I feel like since Coach Beamer been there, everything he said that he was gonna do, it came true. He led him to a bowl game this year. I feel like next year he's gonna progress and lead him into a good season, probably 8-4. I feel like, and I feel like from there he's gonna progress and possibly to a championship.
And talk about Coach Lindsey and what you like about him.
First of all, Coach Worsley, I think he's a great guy, all around defensive coach. I think he's gonna take care of me in the long run. He told me to trust him, and that's what I'm doing. I put my trust in him, and I'm and see where he takes me.
And then last thing from us, Xzavier, before we let you go celebrate with all your family and friends, coaches, students. Sounds like it's a great environment there. What else stood out about South Carolina to you?
Really, it's being home. It doesn't play a part like going anywhere else. I feel like home, being in a shorter radius, I feel like that's better. South Carolina, I feel like they needed me, and I feel like we can do great things. So that's really it.
Well, thank you, Xzavier. Congratulations on your pledge to South Carolina. South Carolina up to number 17 in the 24/7 Sports Composite Team recruiting rankings. We're going to bring in now 24/7 Sports national analyst Brian Dohn to break down what Xzavier is bringing to South Carolina. Brian, how you doing, man? Good to see you again, brother.
Yeah, good seeing you, man. What a big win for South Carolina, huh? You're looking at now they have three of the top four kids in state. You know, he mentioned Marquette Anderson and Montague Rames. I mean, if you want to win and you want to, it doesn't matter if you're Florida, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, you have to keep the best players home. And, they have three of the top four in the 23 class from South Carolina staying home. Just a huge win for the Gamecocks, first of all.
Yeah, and this is a class that's really starting to come together for them on the defensive front. You've seen Xzavier live. What were your impressions of that?
Yeah, I was impressed with a lot of. First of all, just his size. He's one of those, what do we want to call it? Big body, jumbo athletes. But just the way he moves, his burst, his acceleration. He has to be a little more consistent with playing with the lower pad level, but that'll come as he gets through high school and into college. But just his athleticism, his power, he's really good with his hands. He can redirect along the line of scrimmage. It's really hard. When an offensive lineman gets a hold of him, it's still a battle, and he can disengage pretty quickly. But I just look at the overall picture, and you bring up basketball, and when I was going back over his tape again, you can really see where he played on the court and how that helps big men, because he's got really good foot speed, and he's light on his feet for a kid that's 300 plus.
I love what South Carolina is doing at the point of attack. They have 5 offensive linemen committed, some of their top targets. And now they're starting to load up on the defensive line. Xzavier McLeod joins the Rames kid. And now they're pushing hard for another young man that's going to announce his college decision with us next on August 29th, Desmond Umeozulu. I think that South Carolina is really picking up steam there, Brian, as they battle Ohio State, among others. What are you hearing out there in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, it's the same thing you hear, Steve, with Umeozulu. It's Ohio State. When he came out of there, you thought, okay, if Ohio State really pushed for him, they could get him. But it didn't happen right away. And he always wanted to announce late in August. And, Xzavier brought this up, and it reminds me of what Clemson did in years past. And Xzavier, he talked about the kids in the program recruiting him. And that's what's going on with Umeozulu. A lot of the commits are saying, hey, we're going to do big things at South Carolina. It starts on the line of scrimmage. Look what we have on the offensive line. Be a piece on the defensive line. Umeozulu is another one of those kids. He's really long. He's an edge kind of guy who can get after the quarterback, also drop into coverage. I'm really curious to see how this thing shakes out in the next 10 days or so. It's like you said, when you look at McLeod, it was back and forth with Georgia and South Carolina. It seemed almost until this morning. And I think South Carolina is going to continue to push that way. Shane Beamer, he is a tremendous recruiter. We knew that from the days of when he was an assistant coach. But it goes, Jimmy Lindsley, the defensive line coach, is doing a great job. Clayton White, the D coordinator, guys believe in that scheme. And so it's making for some interesting battles that you don't usually see. I mean, like I said with McLeod, getting a kid from Camden, South Carolina to stay home instead of going to Georgia, the national champs, is a big win. And you're just seeing more of that. And I'm really curious what happens with Umeozulu.
Well, beating Georgia for Xzavier McLeod, perhaps beating Ohio State for Umeozulu. I logged the 24/7 Sports crystal ball for the Gamecocks to ultimately land another top 247 defensive lineman out of Georgia in Xavier Hardy. They're in the middle of the Nicholas Harbor sweepstakes. The 5-star #1 athlete in the country has already taken 2 visits to South Carolina. Going to take an official later this fall for the, I believe it's the Florida game, but early in the season. And South Carolina, Brian, they've never finished higher than number 15 in the 24/7 Sports Composite Team recruiting rankings. They've been anywhere between 15 and 25 a lot, but they're looking to have their best class in 24/7 Sports history. They seem to be tracking for it. And for more on McLeod's commitment and for more on what South Carolina is working on moving forward, make sure you go visit the Big Spur, www.southcarolina.247sports.com for more from JC Sherbert, Hale McGranahan, Tony Morell, and those guys. And this was another live announcement on the 24/7 Sports channel. Please hit that like button, and we'll see you guys for the next one.